Welcome back, everyone, to another Fired Up Friday with Dee and Candidly Tiff. We had some technical difficulties a little earlier, but I am so glad that we were able to work them out. They were on my end, an update, changed some things, and I couldn't figure it out on the fly, but we got it fixed, and I'm so glad. And Tiff was available here a little later in the evening. So here we are, guys. So thanks for joining us, everyone. We really appreciate it. And I'm glad that you were available, Tiff. I know so much going on, and some of the things that are kind of top of my mind, and we'll just see where the conversation goes. But oh my God, the corruption. We, kind of like unprecedented. We need another word for corruption.
Yeah, I think we need another word for unprecedented, because this is like beyond anything that anyone would ever think. Trying to give these January 6ers reparations. I mean, literally,
yeah,
that's what they're trying to do. So, I mean, it's just like, where did you guys come up with this? And then I was literally just watching the news, and I'm just sitting there like, is this insane or what? Between the Epstein files, I guess they did a hearing today, like not a hearing, but it was like a deposition behind closed doors of Pam Bondi,
right.
who's no longer the AG. But it's just like so much happening that it's really hard to keep up with all of this stuff.
It is. And you know what the funny thing is?
You good?
Sorry, you get a little feedback. I wasn't sure. I got somebody manning the space over on Spoutable. I wasn't sure they were there, but continue. Yeah.
Yeah, it's madness. Every day I don't know what is going to happen. So, and the thing is, a lot of these things have to go through courts, right? So we're going through the courts. Today he's very upset. He wrote a whole entire essay about the fact that he can't call or change the name of the Kennedy Center.
That's what I was going to say. I was like,
I am stupid. This is what you're caring about. I mean, we just like every day it's something. But I was laughing that he wrote that whole story, and Aaron Parnas is so funny. He's like, I'm not reading all of this. Like, this is it's so long. It's like, and he's just ranting and just going off. Like, dude, these are courts. What are you gonna do? You can't just change names on stuff. You're wasting money like no tomorrow. I mean, we could even go to the fact that all these people dropped out of this concert that's supposed to be happening.
I mean, really. And somebody did a funny meme, and they had the poster, and all of the pictures were of Laura Trump, but just in different.
I like the one that people were like crossing out, and then it was like tic-tac-toe. And then finally somebody said, I won. Like there was a whole row of people who were out, and I'm like, we are living in the stupidest timeline and stupidest government ever. And
I mean, trying to make a carnival on the White House lawn. I mean,
come on. The UFC fight, the cap, like the reflection pool, that thing is going to be have so much algae, waste of 13 whatever $million. I mean, it is too much. And then you have Peter Thiel leaving America, so supposedly temporarily go. I'm like, what does he know? Because I don't know what you know. And then JD Vance is saying he might not run in 2028. Like, there's a lot of things happening here.
It really is. What is funny about the Bondi hearings or whatever is that she released a statement prior to the hearing to the press. I'm sure, selected ones, and to Republicans, but not to Democrats. But essentially, in that statement, she was trying to wash her hands of any blame, and specifically said, got a lot of things on my plate, and I delegated a lot of this to, under the bus goes Todd Bland.
Yep. Yep. Oh yeah, she's like, listen, I don't apparently she has cancer, so she's ready to throw everybody under the bus. And I'm pretty sure she was not treated right because Trump doesn't treat any women right. I mean, he's a disgusting person. And Todd Blanche was probably doing most of the work anyway. And she was very much just kind of the person who was the face of it all. And the face of it to the point where they were losing case. I still can't believe they lost the sandwich guy case. Like it's
How many times did they even try it? It's
well,
like,
they did it. So they prosecuted him and then he went to trial. Then the jury found him not guilty. But even the Jim Comey thing, I don't know if you saw I was into it. They are the person who was I guess the lead prosecutor on that Seashells case, he quit.
yes, and somebody quit in the, I don't know what department, probably within the Treasury or whatever, about him trying to put his face
Oh my
on
God.
on a new $250 bill. She was like, "This is too much. This is too much."
Yeah, it's absurd. Like you can't even make this stuff up. First of all, we're getting a $250 bill. Oh, and then he's signing the bill, like the dollar, like I guess whatever he's signing something. I think it's one of the bills. I don't know if it's a $20 bill. He's like putting his signature on it. Like what? This is what we're wasting our money on in the Treasury Department.
Exactly, exactly. And in the process of all of this, like, even though the name comes down, how much money, time, man hours were spent putting the name up, first of all, and then the thing with the reflection pool, all these things, that there is kickbacks and all types of connections going on. I mean, like, they are really robbing our treasury blind. In all of these things that they do. And it will cost us to undo a lot of them because, I mean, some of them are cosmetic, but some of them are deeper wounds and things. I mean, those, we can laugh about those. It's sick, but it's just a sign of autocracy and him trying to etch his
Name, yeah.
name and his image and memory into this country because he knows that he is a failed president and history will record him as such. But he is trying to create some permanence for himself
Well,
before that
and
happens.
it goes back to just his narcissism, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he's a narcissist, and when you're a narcissist, everything is about you. So
Hmm.
he has, I mean, even to the point of the gold, all the gold in the White House, like you have to put your name on everything. Like, are you trying to remember where you even are? Like, there's like so many things that you can just point to just be like, oh my God, like the things that you guys were annoyed about with Biden, this is not even close. He's falling
Not even on the radar with it. He's got them going around sprucing up horses now with gold paint or whatever. Like, it's like, I feel like something is definitely wrong with him, like mentally and physically, and they know it. He's made, an annual checkup.
He's in perfect health, D. He's in perfect health. Who comes back and says, I am in perfect health? I am great. Like only a
Yeah, I
narcissist
think
would
he
do that.
protests too much.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. Because even if something was wrong, you would never tell us that something. I mean, we can look at you and physically see that something is wrong because you are swollen. You look like a swollen pig
And his hands always with
with
the
the
deep
makeup on
bruises
it.
and things. But you know, beyond that, I feel like, let's, not even talk about the number of times people have caught him on camera falling asleep
His
in meetings or whatever.
eyelids are shut. He's
Mhm.
blinking a long blink.
Yes, right. Sure, sure. But I feel like they are kind of indulging him and giving him these crazy kind of like building projects and stuff. It's almost like handing a kid a box of Legos or whatever, but they're kind of giving him America, or he's using it to keep him from doing other crazy things, like these things are crazy too, and they're a waste of money, and some of them are probably profiting from some of them. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna get mine too. But I was listening to Maddow at the beginning of the week, and I'm going to share that clip in our Good Trouble chat on Monday. But she did an awesome rundown of really laying out a lot of the specific corrupt things that he has done since he has been in office. And I hear people like historians like Heather Cox Richardson, who studies history and is well versed in some of the most scandalous aspects of our history. And she says, hands down, this is the most corrupt government in our history.
Absolutely. There is, I don't think, I mean, didn't Dom Jr. get like some kind of like contract this week? I mean, it's so much. Like it's to the point where I don't think they keep a list. And even so, I saw somebody say that CNN hasn't put Daniel Dale, the guy who does all of the fact checking stuff. Like they haven't allowed him to go on air for like weeks.
Yes, I noticed. I haven't seen it. Well, speaking,
CNN, so I wouldn't have noticed, but I saw a post about it, and I was like, these networks are also fun. That's what I was listening to when I was downstairs. I was watching the show with Simone, the weekday.
Weeknight. And I like them. They chop it up.
I like them too. And they were talking about the fact that Cecilia Vega was let go from 60 Minutes this week.
Right. That's one of the things I wanted to talk about.
Yeah. So you're talking about, so now it's we've been saying the media and the fact that they are falling into the corruption too. They are part of the problem when we're talking about the impacts and what they do and how they carry water for Trump. But you're seeing it in real time with CBS, because Cecilia Vega is a really good reporter. And I remember her being in the White House and asking questions. She's tough. And the fact that they're just kind of just letting Barry Weiss is just letting them run all over her.
Right. And I've heard not only was she let go, but a lot of the executive producers and the people in the downline of the production of that show as well were also let go. And Anderson Cooper couldn't take anymore. He's like, I'm not staying. So he resigned. Like, you ain't got to let me go. I'm out of here. I don't need
who's left over there.
And that show has a lot of relevance and a lot of history, and it just shows the kind of dichotomy of where we are with this clown show. That's something so rich and filled with history and contributing to the information ecosystem, good information in this country, being destroyed.
Right.
While they're building up all these other crazy things, and Fox and Friends and all of these right-wing outlets that now have access to him and to the Pentagon, and we're in the middle of a war and people can't get straight answers. Not that there really is a straight one to get with this guy in charge, because it changes every day. It's like on a whim. Yeah, it's a ceasefire. No, it's not a ceasefire. It's a ceasefire, but they better listen, because we got our finger on the trigger. If they don't, it's insane. And I don't see how anyone who is paying any attention to anything that's going on in this country, because it's affecting us at every level. Whether you do politics or not, that you can sit back and just, wash your hands of it, put your hands in the sand, or, continue with the both parties are the same BS. Any of that. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. And he's doing a lot. I said last week, he's doing a lot of marketing. I knew he didn't have a deal. Trump is a manipulator. He is a master manipulator, a con artist. And you see that for the whole week, starting from last weekend, he has said, oh, we're going to have a deal. We're so close to a deal. Then Monday comes and he's like, yeah, we're still working on the deal. It is now Friday. Even yesterday, they put out a statement saying they're so close to a deal. Where's the deal? But I do see that the gas prices have gone down. So they're playing with the price of the oil
The
barrels,
stock market and
yeah, trying to manipulate that because they know that they're in trouble with these gas prices.
right.
Excuse me.
Bless you. Yes, and he does that, and he knows he kind of works those people in the financial world like he learned to work the media,
Yeah.
and just play them.
He plays them every single time. And it's like even his own people fall for it. Pretty it's pretty annoying at this point to keep saying, I have a deal, I have a deal. You notice Iran has not said they had a deal. Bibi Netanyahu is saying that he's basically taken over Lebanon today. And every time we turn around, they're doing something even more ridiculous than they did the week before.
Yeah.
And of course, we're gonna invade Cuba. That was the other thing that came out this week. They're gonna invade Cuba. They're very close. They're very close to invading Cuba. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Exactly. And the fact they're trying to, arrest this 90-something-year-old man or whatever who is not even in power. But going back to Latin America, Catch My Whiff here says, and I thought about that too. You talked about Palantir leaving to go to South America. I don't know if Argentina is where he's going, but
it's Argentina.
Exactly. Catch My Whip is right on point. That is where the Nazis went. Like not long ago, you know how I do my on this day in history?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the exact day now, but one day this month is the day that they found the SS officer who was in charge of the, extermination program for the Nazis, and he was caught in Argentina. That's where a lot of them went.
Oh,
so
yeah, he definitely did. Yeah, no. And so I'm just curious, what does he know and why is he fleeing? I really would love to know. We're gonna find out eventually because it could be something personal to him. It could be like he's probably a pedo too or something, or they have a case against him or something.
Lord only knows.
But the fact that JD Vance was like, I'm not running, and we always thought that Peter Thiel was kind of like the person who's like the puppet master of JD Vance. And if he's leaving, then there's a falling out somewhere in this government that we are not privy to.
Exactly. I mean, and we can see some of the fracturing. I feel like there's a lot more beneath that we're not seeing, but even in their ecosystem, like their podcast, factions and groups or whatever, they're fighting with each other. They're calling him out. But I do love that, that judge put a stop to him being able to continue working on that fund to, the reparations for the January 6ers, because it's insane. It's crazy. It's like you're rewarding criminality and you're screaming about other people being here and being criminals.
Right.
But you want to pay the homegrown ones on your side.
Well, because they were there for you. And I do. So obviously Harry Dunn is a friend of mine. And, him and a couple others are suing Donald Trump for this. And, he's running in my district as well. And it's just like, man, it's out of control. Like, and I'm glad the judge is asking questions. Like, they want to give these people back their gun rights. Like, this is craziness. Like these people ran up and harms other people, police officers, and you want to give them the right to bear arms again? And for what? Because what are you trying to do something? Is there something? Are you bringing them back to be your own militia? Like, what are we doing? Enrico Tarrio he's like, I would get like $1 million. Like, what the hell are we doing? So it's just frustrating to kind of just watch it all play out. Like, I think you and I, when every time we talk on these lives, we're like, we're all tired and we're trying to figure out what is even happening. But every day and every week, it's just more and more corruption in broad daylight, because it's not even and this, imagine, these are the things that we know,
which almost normalizes it. to people, because people just like, well, that's what they do. And that really disturbs me. It, like 2 weeks ago in the Good Trouble chat, I talked about the corruption and how disappointed I was that that was not getting enough press and attention, because I do know that it is one of the things that often brings dictators and autocrats down more so than other things that they do, because as they continue to harm their own economy and the people in their country, and people start feeling that and seeing them them and their cronies continue to be enriched, people start getting angry. That is kind of what broke through with Putin and the opposition against him, that brought people out in the street fearless, because they were starting to see these palaces and things that he was building, and their economy crashing, and them struggling. I think about, remember the shoe lady, the Philippine Melba Marcos, and her husband having to flee. People, they may indulge you a little, but basically we're living in times where you're literally giving people the finger and telling them to eat cake, while you and your family, just amass all this wealth, and people can't get health care.
Yeah, people are, and we're watching it happening. And the part that trips me out is that these white folks who voted for him, poor white people, it's like you gave them the keys to the kingdom. And now I see these interviews where and I don't even know like how widespread this is, but I see these interviews, and the people are upset. They're like, I can't believe Trump is doing this. What we warned you, people. This is my thing. We warned you. We told you this was going to be a corrupt administration. Whatever they didn't get away with the first time, they are trying to get away, and even more the second time. So why didn't you listen to what we were saying when we were saying it? I just don't understand. And then you have the people who are like, oh, well, if Kamala was in office, it would be the same. No, it would not be the same. We know it would not be the same. Like, y'all are just making excuses for what you think makes sense, but none of it makes sense, because guess what? No one in their right mind could be any more corrupt than Donald Trump. He is the most corrupt person to ever have and hold the presidency.
He is indeed. And as far as people, I don't know. I'm kind of sick of these interviews, because I kind of remember when he first got in office, and instead of them, kind of covering what he was doing then, and I mean, it was, some of that was pretty bad. But they were still interviewing all these people who voted for him, and like they were trying to understand them and get us to understand them. I mean, basically, I mean, there is no understanding. It's white superiority, white supremacy.
Oh yeah, well, the diners. How many diners did they go to speak to the people? And and people, and I just think about like interviews that people were doing. So one of the things I always think about is like, and it was actually pretty good. So when Zohran Mamdani, like I guess after the election, he went on the street in New York, a blue city, and asked people why they didn't vote for Kamala. And the stuff that they were saying is, if you look back at that video, they're like, he said he was going to lower prices. Prices are not lower. They were mad at Kamala and the Biden administration over Gaza. Gaza has not got, the whole situation in Gaza has not gotten better. So all the things that you were against Kamala for, none of those things have been rectified by putting this man back in office. And you can say, well, if this is not the leftist fault. Okay, you don't want to take blame for it. Well, fine. If you don't vote, I'm going to blame you for not voting. If you voted for Trump, I'm going to blame you, because 75 or 76 million of us, we took the time to go vote for Kamala. But 81 of them, this is a game of math, right? They voted more for him than they did for Kamala. And
Exactly.
therefore, the numbers are how people win. And we have an opportunity in November to at least try to mitigate some of this mess that we are in. And I referenced back to an article that I had written on Substack from August about, and I forgot about this because I forgot, and because it was with this whole thing with the DNC this week and the girl who kind of told them off. And I said, you know,
I love that.
and I found it. I went back and looked because somebody had said something to me this morning. I said, no, I've been talking about this for a while about what the Democrats need to do to win. And I referenced back to that Substack, and everything that it kind of has been occurring is I wrote it all out. Like I totally forgot about it. But there are so many things that we still need to do in order to win in November. And one of those things is to stop playing nice with demons. These people are
Okay.
demons. Period.
Like, yes, and stop talking about or imagining, like, convincing them of something. You cannot, the people that voted for Trump, they already had one season of him. They know this man. Now they've had a year of him. You're not convincing these people. If they're not coming out saying we had enough and raising their hand going, we surrender, or what. I'm not trying to have conversations with them. I don't believe them. I don't believe them any more than I believe him, anything that comes out of his mouth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's nothing to believe because there's nothing that's going to change. You either want to live in a world where this man is the most corrupt president and he is going to drain us. I do not like Bernie Sanders, but he is right. We are in an oligarchy. We are an oligarchy. I don't like to use that word, but when you look at where we are in terms of the rich and who is running this country, it is Trump and his cronies. These are the powerful people who are running this country, and it's all in a vacuum. Like all these people are there, and they're the ones that are doing all these billionaires. They're controlling. We got the data centers. We have all these different things that are being like thrown at us all at one time, even to the point where the Pope is like talking about AI now. Like it's crazy.
I mean, like really, we've got to have the Pope recognize and say, but I'm glad that he did. And that was his first official, I'm not well versed in the Catholic thing, but you know and understand. But I'm glad it was that, because it is that big of a problem. And I don't think that anyone in the US is going to take any substantial actions to address it, because they're kind of already behind. But maybe when you have something, an organization as large as the Catholic faith and, the Pope, that platform that he has, maybe it will give them, buoy them a little bit when we get empowered to start addressing this, because it's out of control. And the people who are in control of this AI and all of these things, these are people who grew up on and became attached to these science fiction ideas and ideology, and kind of spent their life working to make them real. And while I am a little nerdy, I love that. I mean, what was it, Rosie, that the Jetsons. That was one of my favorite.
I always think about the Jetsons too. Because that was kind of like that was like, I'm sure your kids are like around the same, like around my age. I'm sure you watched it. I don't even know when that cartoon first started coming out, but that is exactly what I think about. Like, it's very futuristic and all the things that they had, but all those things are possible, but at what cost, right? What is the cost? Because I know people have, my mom even asked me when she was here last week, she was like, so what's up with the data centers? And, why are people so up in arms about it? And I was like, well, one is the energy, two is the pollution, the water. They're using our water to be able to run these centers. And we are all eventually going to pay for these things because they drain resources. And that's the part that I don't think people get. And so I do think that people it's fair to push back, because there needs to be some responsibility where it doesn't fall on us. And listen, we all use, I think somebody made a good article that we are all using AI one way or another. So it's not to say we can't use AI or AI is a bad thing. it's about using it responsibly, and in using it responsibly, what are the impacts of having these data sensors that are driving this AI? Because I mean, listen, we all use it in, like you said, in some way. I
Yeah.
mean, the phone is
I
listening to us. Let's be clear. The phone is listening to us.
I exactly. And I have no problem with it. And as you said, it's not that it is a bad thing. It's like money. It's neither good nor bad, but how it is used, and having accountability to go along with those things. But the people who are building these things and using them are people like the Musk, the Zuckerbergs and the Tills, and they don't care about people. It's just about their push, to be the first, to get ahead at any cost, and they're going about it. I mean, look at Elon Musk is trying to send these things. He wants to, be the first to get the technology to control them, or the energy for them, up in space. And so he's sending up rockets like people, send up balloons, for, birth reveals or whatever, and they blow up, he laughs or whatever.
Right.
But it has a consequence, because,
Right.
over a year ago, scientists were talking about the light pollution that his debris from these blown up rocket ships were causing. And I saw somewhere recently, I got to go back and find that article, but just within the last couple of weeks, he sent one and it blew up. And
No, last night, Jeff Bezos, I guess he has his whatever he had blew something, and that baby blew up, and it was crazy. Like you're not
And
even
some of these
creating good
things
things.
are landing on Earth, like they're not making it to outer space,
They
sphere.
can't even get off the damn rocket. Okay, the rocket can't even get up in the air at this point. I mean, how many times have we seen this with Elon? And I mean, they've had some success, but for the most part, the trials keep failing, and they're just spending so much money on this, and it's money that could be invested in real space programs like NASA.
Right. And also, I think about, you're trying to get something up in outer space, and you're trying to get people there, but there are people living here,
Right.
okay, who need housing, who need healthcare, who need food. So I have a hard time believing that whatever, if you get there, when you get there, that you will do anything good, because you're already here. And what are you
Yeah.
doing to help
Yeah.
the
No, I
people that are here, to help make the place that you are residing in any better? It's like, did you see that clip? I don't know who it was. I think it's a place like in France, where they have created this kind of Aunt Lydia, like tourist center. They made it like an experience, almost like a Disney experience. And it was a video of these young women who were going in, and they were Aunt Lydia. They were being trained, and they were learning to cross stitch and all of this. So I mean, it's like, you took those good things away, and enjoyed that experience. It's like they learn all the wrong lessons from books and things that were created to be cautionary tales, and they take them and turn them into instruction manuals, like.
don't. Yeah, and it's mind-boggling, right? It's just I just think about all the different ways that they could be utilizing money, and I even this week I got to the point where I was just frustrated because I see how many millions of dollars are being spent on elections as we going through these like primaries, like especially my own primary, where I'm just kind of watching like all these different like special interest groups that are spending millions of dollars. Like we have a county executive race. One of my friends is running, Will Jawando, and our senator had to jump in. He didn't even endorse anybody, but he was so frustrated with the fact that the real estate developers have bonded together and they created a super PAC, and that super PAC is attacking Will and saying, but it's not that but the thing is, they didn't even use like real estate. Like they didn't use real estate as the in the ad.
Uh-huh.
They attacked him about his education record and just straight up lied about it. So you are starting to see where these crypto people are so focused on APAC, but there are so many others, like we've talked about this before. There are so many other special interest groups that are now jumping into these races. And what Citizens United did to this country in terms of elections, we are never going to have fair elections. We talk so much about like fairness and and voting rights and things like that, but when you are seeing these special interest groups throw millions of dollars into races, it is disheartening because that money could actually go to help people. When I see Tom Steyer, who is spending hundreds of millions of dollars on an election and trying to use and using his wealth to win an election, imagine if he actually invested that money into people or into building a network to be able for us to have
To spread the message
to
to
spread
people.
messaging. These are things that just and again, there are people on the left who have beefs and complaints, but some of the things that they are, Dallas is very upset. Some of the things they
Poor
do,
Dallas.
I actually agree with, right? So, and when it comes to money and politics, it's getting out of control. And I see even in my own race, right? We have UDP, which is the super PAC for APAC. They have jumped in our race. They're sending mailers. You have the crypto PACs that are running ads. They're not doing attack ads per se. They're doing positive ads for one candidate. But when you start to see that candidate didn't raise that much money compared to like a Harry Dunn who's raised like 2 million, but he has these outside groups that are helping him. So he doesn't even need to raise that money because they're spending millions of dollars to help him to win.
And that, yeah,
fair.
it's not fair. And that's why I say, yes, Citizens United is kind of the root cause, but it needs to be addressed in a comprehensive way, because it's campaign finance that's the issue. And I know just recently, I got to read a little bit more to find out about it, but Hawaii just passed their own bill that kind of takes away some of the harm that's possible through Citizens United, and maybe more blue states can take that on in the same way.
I mentioned that when I was complaining about this earlier in the week, someone mentioned that to me in my comments, and I was like, you know what? I need to go look in to see what they did, because if blue states could do this if they wanted to. But even in my like county executive race, like one of the candidates, they have like public financing, so they like match, but one of the candidates is doing it, the other two are not. So the candidate the one that's taking it, is doing the public financing, he called me and we were talking about it, and I was like, because I really didn't understand how it works, so we had a good conversation about it. But it's just it makes me frustrated that we are in a place where there is no fairness in our elections, where money is now taking over
elections. You got to have it. I mean, you can't unilaterally disarm.
And then people are like, but my problem is that people are saying like, grassroots. But guess what? We don't have money to fund campaigns. This is a really hard thing. Like we're in an economy where people are not doing well. And the people that are doing well, they are able to support these, candidates and give a certain amount of money or contribute to super PACs to then help these candidates. But the average person like you and I don't, I used to do fundraising in 2022. I raised over $100,000 for candidates, almost $200,000 for, depending on the candidate, depending on the situation. But I cannot in good faith go and ask people to contribute 10, 20. These people can barely even afford gas at this point. Food is expensive. I can't do it. And even then we were still in a like kind of like a place where inflation was bad. but I feel like people were still willing to give money. And I can't now ask people to do that. Like I just can't do it, especially after 2024. I just feel like I'm not in a place to be like, hey, can you contribute $5? Can you contribute $10? Because I know people, if I ask for it, people will do it. But I
Right.
just don't feel that it's right to do that because we should not. Why should we have to fund candidates who are running while there's all these super PACs? And we're gonna have to do it at some point, but it is very frustrating.
It really is. It really is. And I know, one of our candidates here, he's vowed not to take PAC money. I don't know how that's going for him, but he does get a lot of national attention, and that's Justin Pearson because, he kind of aligns with, the DSA folks and things like that. But I see his work here on the ground, and I know that he is a worthy, candidate, and that he cares about the people in his community and the people in this state. So it hurts my heart for that reason that, he might not have enough resources,
Exactly.
that he needs to actually run the kind of campaign that could take him over the top. But I do have to say that because he has been so active and done some things even before he got in office. Justin Timberlake worked with him on an environmental justice project that he did. And so he has name recognition. And I'm glad to see that Time Magazine wrote an article about the redistricting and, him and how it affected him. So it's kind of those kinds of things. That's why, information is important and the distribution of that information is important. So it makes me feel good that, it's not just like, online or local press, that like big media platforms are picking up on that. And I also know that there's an organization called Common Power. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they have like a voter initiative arm where they actually do boots on the ground canvassing and those types of things. They've come here to help him. I think they plan to come again. They also have another arm, the Institute of Common Power, which I really love because and you would love them too, because they work on civic education. And they also do site tours and things like summer programs where they take these tours to various historical sites, a lot of civil rights sites and things like that to help educate people. And I think those kinds of efforts and things are important. So when I look at giving money sometime, when you say as opposed to a direct candidate, I look at organizations who are doing work that I feel like has a broad reach and is in line with my my thinking kind of
Yeah, for
thing.
sure. Yeah, no, and it's just, I don't know. I just get so frustrated when I think about like Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
You should hear Nikki Barnes
Oh,
really.
I can only imagine Nikki Barnes because that's all. We follow each other, but so the algorithm never really like. Sometimes it lines up, sometimes it doesn't. But I know I saw her friend Leslie in some of the comments on Twitter, and they were upset about it. And I get it. Listen, my issue with that is, and people were like, "Why are you upset about this? That she can run in whatever district she wants." I said, "Yeah, she can definitely." Listen, I'm a realist, and you can run in the district, but I also do realize that Elijah has been running in that district for almost a year, probably even more than a year at this point. He's trying to build his name and be able to run in that district. You have Uncle Luke.
Uncle Luke.
And our sordid past with Uncle Luke and spaces
Yes.
and his crazy self who doesn't know anything about anything, but and he can
But he
pop
can
that
run
name.
because it's America.
It's America and he can run. And there's other candidates that are in this race, but what she brings to this race is, it's not even, to me, it's not even about the fact that she's a white woman, a Jewish woman running in a black district. To me, it's that she's bringing a boatload of cash that she has on hand to run in this district. And that is a disadvantage to the other people who are trying to run in this district. And not only that, there's going to be super PACs that are going to jump into this race to help her.
Unfortunately, but it is unfortunate that that's the decision that she came to, because I happen to think that is a very kind of lazy and opportunistic
Oh yeah.
decision, because she could run and to in her the district in which she lives. I understand, from Nikki that, she lives in a different district, 22 or 21, and she could run there and use all those resources there and give the folks who have a majority of Black people in that district an opportunity to elect someone who looks like them, who will represent them in the way that they want. And I think that it sets a bad precedence and creates even more factions within the party that we can ill afford at this time, because it's like she don't care. She doesn't care.
Right. She didn't think. Well, my thing is, as a candidate, you have to think about your. Yes, it's like a power move, right? You're moving.
Mm-hmm.
You decide. Okay, you got redistrict. Listen, people get redistrict, and stuff happens.
Right.
This is Florida, and Republicans are going to do them, but this has happened in other places, right? I mean, even when you think about Texas, so this week we had a runoff. So you had
Mm-hmm.
Johnson, and then you had Colin Allred, who ended up, they got both. Her district was moved. He was running for Senate, and that was his old district, and they kind of, it kind of worked out where they both decided to run. He ends up winning. And then I see people complaining about the fact that she lost and how dare he have run in that district. Like, what are we even doing? Like, the Republicans are smart enough to know who and what to kind of cause divides. Same with Christian Menifee and Al Green. That Al Green was drawn out of his district, and then he decided to run for Texas 18, which is Christian Menifee's district. So,
and how many campaigns has Menifee had to run?
like, he has had like runoff. There was runoffs. Somebody said I voted for this man 20 times. I think it was an over exaggeration, but it probably was accurate that it was somewhere around 10 times that people have had to go out and vote for this man just so he can permanently be in this seat. And it's disheartening to have to, know that the Republicans have kind of created this mess where we have to now pick and choose who we
Make
want
us fight against each other.
Have this infighting, right? I mean, it's different when, so like in New York today, obviously, the conversation online was about Mamdani, and he endorsed the candidate who's running against Adriano Espaillat, and people were mad about that. But listen, to me, this is democracy at work, right? There's a seat, and whoever wants to run for it can run for it, and people pick and choose who they want to be their candidate. People can endorse whomever they want to. May the best person win.
Absolutely.
And it's fine. Even if Debbie's running in this seat, listen, more power to the people who are running against her, because I hope that she doesn't win. I mean, she just doesn't fit in this district, but more power to the people. The people will decide who is the best person to represent them at the end of the day. And I just hope that the resources that she has and the people who are going to come from outside to help her don't like mess this district up, because it's the people deserve to be able to vote for someone that they are able to be able to with all these ads and all this stuff. Even in my own district, like I said, we have 23 people running, and like the outside stuff is pissing me off. I like some of the candidates. I don't like some of the other candidates. So I'm just kind of watching how this all plays out over the next couple of weeks. There's going to be some really interesting, we always talk about elections. There's going to be some really interesting elections over the next week. So we have DC, which is, they have their mayor election and their council election. The DC mayor's election has like a DSA person running. Then they have kind of like a more normie Dem running, and we'll see what people decide and how they want to go, because that race is like a dead heat. Like, I mean, it's like neck and neck. Then you also have New York, which is the same day as my primary in Maryland. And there's a lot of seats, and there's DSA people running in those seats as well. But it is up to the people to decide who they want to represent. It is not up to Twitter or social media to say, oh, well, if you disagree with the candidate, then that's fine. But at the end of the day, the people will decide what they want, and we're gonna watch and see what happens. I don't even know what's gonna happen in my own district, because I have no. Usually, I have an idea. I'm like, oh yeah, so and so is gonna win, or I'm pushing for somebody. No idea. My county executive race, I have no idea who's gonna win, and some of the other races, I really don't know. It's very up in the air for me right now.
It really is a crazy time, and like you, getting ready for our primaries here. Of course, I can't, vote for Justin. He's not in my
Uh-huh.
district, but we do have a very decent Democrat running against him, and I'm grateful that is it the DSCC or the
D triple C.
yes, they are actually contributing financially
Nice.
to help him. So that really makes me feel good. And I think he's a good, viable candidate. I don't know how much like boots on the ground, mobilization we can get done to counter the redistricting harm that they have done. But I think he has a good chance because he is a two-time mayor in
Okay.
a very conservative town that's just below, our city, and so that says that conservative people have voted for him. They like his leadership and his governance. So I'm rooting for that. And of course, Ogles is like, the guy in the White House. He's just nuts, and he's full of hateful, crazy rhetoric. And he also has scandal, all about him that has been kind of dismissed because of the regime that's in charge, and he supports them. But people on the ground, even opponents, within his same party, other Republicans are still not letting it die. So I hope that kind of, taints his race. He also has not raised a lot of money. He didn't in the last election either, but he was relying on the redistricting doing most of the work for him. But now I don't know, because they did some more carving up of this district. And, eventually it gets to that thing that they call kind of dummy mandering, where you don't know. And then the people that are your party, your folks, you're not doing good things to help them. And you can talk all the rhetoric that you want, but at the end of the day, people still live in reality. They go to the gas pump, they
Most.
know what they pay. They go to the grocery store, they know what they pay. When they get sick, they know what they have to pay, or if they have health care and protections. So your rhetoric can't wash all of that away. So I'm fairly hopeful. I mean, I don't know. So I'm going to be kind of looking at that and seeing where I can get into to help with, some, maybe phone banking or things like that.
Right.
We also have a governor's race that I'm very excited about. And there is just no two ways about it, hands down. Jerry Green, who is a woman, she actually happens to be from the Memphis area, and she, I think, was on the city council, and she is maybe the deputy mayor or some executive for the mayor there. I think she's a dynamic candidate, and she has actually been doing the work. She has been visiting the state for like a couple of years. She started running, and she has gone to every county in the state. Like, she is talking to people. She also is not, taking a lot of PAC money and those kinds of things. But when you put her up against Marsha Blackburn, it's a night and day choice. But Marsha has a lot of infrastructure, a lot of money.
Right.
She comes from the same town as our current governor, where Core Civic is housed, and they held a whole fundraiser for JD Vance when during the election. I'm sure they won't hold back on Marcia because that's her hometown. So I don't know. And like you said, hopefully, while we're still functioning somewhat as a democracy, people do have a choice. I just hope that people pay attention and use the power that they have, because it's being snatched away day by day. I wrote a Substack article this week about people that we talk about all the time who don't do politics. Like,
I did read your article, and I was like, politics is doing you. And I was, you did a really good job of writing it. And I don't understand how people don't see this. Like, it's easy. The easy thing is to sit out and just say, I don't care about none of this, and both parties are the same, and the lesser of two evils, and all this other stuff, instead of just trying to move your party into the right direction. Listen, I know for myself that not everything the Democrats do I love. Like, I don't sit and wait for the DNC to give me instructions.
Like, we're not their cheerleaders.
Yeah, they don't give me instructions on how to do stuff or tell me what to do. Like, it's like people feel like there's like these people think that there's like some boogeyman that's out there that's like, you have to do this or you have to do that. No one's,
and that you're being paid.
Yeah, you're being paid still. Like, no one tells me what to do. I have many times disagreed with the things that the DNC does. But I also understand that there are good things that the DNC is doing at the present moment. One of those things is giving state parties $1 million every single month. So when people are like, well, the DNC is broke. Yeah, because they're actually giving the state parties money. Now, what the state parties do with the money, that's a whole different story. And if they have a sucky state party, well, that's a whole different story. But the DNC is at least trying to do that. Then from a messaging standpoint, it's like the DNC I don't need the DNC to message to me. The DNC is not a messaging apparatus. What the DNC is a funding apparatus to the state parties. So people don't even understand what the DNC does.
Mm-hmm.
Then, this whole autopsy came out, and it was a whole drama, which was so stupid to me, because guess what? I don't care. I don't need an autopsy. I know.
Did it change anything?
I did months and months and months of my own analysis on because it drove me crazy. Like, what happened in this election? And, there are things that I regret about 2022 to 2024 that I think that I could have done differently. But at the end of the day, you cannot live in the past. You have to move forward. And moving forward means that what are we going to do to win this midterm? And the people that drive me crazy, they're like, if you don't learn from I have learned from the past. I know exactly why we lost. You gave VP 107 days to run an election. That is 3 months and a couple of days to try to make up lost time that should have started way, way before. We're talking Trump started running in 2023. 2022, when he was like right after he was
indicted. Yes. I was going to say he was prompted.
Biden said he was going to run in 2023. We know toward the end of 2024, we had October 7th. That kind of derailed a whole lot of stuff. There was inflation that was high in between that. Maybe Biden shouldn't have run. It's too late to determine that. We're already in the past. But giving VP that little window to run, not fair at all. And you were expecting some kind of miracle to happen, but how is a miracle going to happen if people don't show up to vote? I mean, you got to look at it from a totality perspective. And there is nothing that anyone can tell me that will change my mind about 2024 and why we lost. It is a numbers game. At the end of the day, we did not get enough of the number. Whether you think Elon messed with the ballots or whatever, but when I look at the Senate races that we won, those people had over a year to run. Alyssa Slotkin had over a year to run. Ruben Gallego had over a year to run. They created their message and they knew what they were running on, and they took the time and canvassed and talked to people at forums, meet and greets. VP didn't really did had 90 plus 107 days, 3 months, and a couple of days to try to win an election. And that doesn't even include the fact that people started early voting way before the, in that around that 90-day mark. People were already starting, and there was a lot of things that happened in between that time that was crazy. And don't even get me started on the assassination that kind of plugged this whole thing. I mean, there's a lot of things that happened that no one wants to even talk about.
Exactly. And I mean, it's interesting that, some of the most glaring things, were not mentioned, but I'm not one who needed
Right.
the
I didn't need it
autopsy
either. No,
anyway. But, for me, the thing that sticks out is that 90 million people
I will never get over that. I will never
yeah,
get over it.
couldn't be bothered. And these are the kind of people who don't do politics, or they're pouting, or they're abstaining for, whatever reason, they're protesting their vote or whatever. But, all of those people are major factors. And I feel like maybe enough of those people have felt the pain of their decision, because even when you don't vote, you vote.
Exactly.
You're casting a
Your
decision.
non-vote is a vote. I mean, unless you live in a very blue state where there's like my state, if you don't vote, then maybe you can say, okay, well, I didn't vote, but you're still relying on the other people to do the hard work for you, so it's still unfair. But there's a lot that people just don't want to admit. I mean, I listen to some of these leftists and they're like, oh, this had nothing to do with this. We didn't have anything to do with this. Maybe for you, how about you take some accountability and say, okay, by us not voting, we didn't help. We contributed to this. I would respect that more than saying, oh, we had nothing to do with this. Our hands are clean. Kamala was a bad candidate and this is all her fault. This is all Joe Biden's fault. Maybe just acknowledge the fact that
What could I have done differently?
What could I have done different? How could I have messages better? How could we have, worked with Kamala to be able to have a different outcome? Where could we have applied pressure to her to be able to get the outcomes that we wanted? And it's like, y'all don't even think that far because you just can't even take accountability for the thing, but you want everybody else to take accountability for the things that you say that they didn't do. Look in the mirror, people. Look in the mirror.
Exactly. One last thing, and then I'm going to kind of let you go here, but I definitely want to get your take on the recent Hassan
Oh God.
controversy.
That guy. What is he is something else to me because I purposely try not to even talk about him because I think that to me, he's so irrelevant to anything that I have going on. He doesn't even really understand.
I didn't even know who he was until just a few months ago. I
knew the reason I know of him was because of Mom Donnie. That's the reason I knew of him.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea who he was before that. Never cared. Don't know. And I saw a poll yesterday that showed that most people have no idea who this guy is. But he has become Mr. Popularity amongst the leftists, and he's definitely Mr. Popularity within some of the media circles of people who want to talk to him. Like I saw he did an interview with Trevor Noah. He is now becoming a popular figure. And guess what? When you become a popular figure, then you are bringing more attention to yourself. And when you go on a trip to Cuba, a country that we have an embargo on with a DOJ who is actually super, super vindictive, then you are setting yourself up. Now, he says he went there for humanitarian aid. And if he did, great. That's awesome for you. But the way that you publicize this thing and the way that you were talking about it has now brought attention. And we know the people who funded this are Medea and her Code Pink people and the Sigmund guy who is that her husband or is that the other person's husband? I can't remember how it all works. There's two people. There's two people that run the code.
Code Pink, and
I
I
think the other
think
lady's husband
is the funder, but he
in
and he's headquartered in Shanghai.
yeah,
So
yeah, he's definitely been the funder of all of the protests. This is not new information. I have a video about this from 2024 where I talk about the connection between the protests and this man and his wife and Medea and how this all comes together. Now listen, I think the whole situation in Cuba and what America is doing is not right. That's not the point. But you become popular, and guess what? People are going to start analyzing, looking, trying to find something, trying to find connections. And now Hassan has to be able to furnish that information to the most corrupt DOJ that we have ever had. And he is actually scared because guess what? We have seen other people be targeted like this. Letitia James, Luis Lucas. We've seen Jim Comey. Who else? There's a couple more people who have been
Monica MacGyver. I don't hear
yeah,
people
LaMonica pregnant and she's
doing
still
her
out there.
job.
Yeah,
Doing
and
her
still
job.
out there trying to deal with this immigration system in Newark, New Jersey at Delaney Hall. I mean,
Yes.
all of this stuff is stuff that is really exhausting to watch. But I'm sorry, I don't have the wherewithal or the capacity to even care about Hassan at this point. He is just not somebody because you put yourself in these situations. LaMonica MacGyver is a congresswoman. She was out there trying to fight and figure out what is going on for her constituents. Luis Lucas, she wants to do redistricting and she's targeted. Letitia James, we know that has to do with Trump because he's a vindictive
Holding him accountable.
and he and holding him accountable. Jim Comey, that was dumb. He put the seashells, whatever. I don't care about that. But it's like all of these different things that are happening. You're a media person. You're a streamer. You bring this attention onto yourself. I hope he doesn't get prosecuted. I hope whatever information he has, he gives it. I hope his uncle and his family and everybody else that is wealthy in his family can help him with his lawyers. He has money. He makes millions of dollars off his stream. But yeah, it's not fun to be targeted. Welcome.
Exactly. That's my feeling. Like I said, I just think he is irrelevant. But these are the people. You know what? What him getting all this attention is the same energy it's that I felt when they were going to all of these cafes and places interviewing Trump voters or whatever. It's the same thing. Like, stop it already. I mean, and I that's why I am so grateful that you and I are able to come on every 2 weeks and talk a little bit and share. We write, you post content trying to inform people because it is about trying to call people in, bring people in, and help them understand what's at stake. People like him, basically it's about his popularity, growing his audience and attention. I don't think that he cares about, the democratic process of elections or voting or any of those things, because anyone stupid enough to actually say harm reduction voting is stupid is someone who is stupid and privileged, never had to worry about harm coming to them because of their marginalization or vulnerability.
He's gonna feel it now. He's feeling it now
Mhm.
because it's not that privilege that you thought you had is now go in the hands of a corrupt DOJ, and they could turn around even if what they're saying is baseless, or even if they could still go to a grand jury and prosecute you. They've done it many times to other
Just
people.
make his life miserable, even though they get nowhere, because
Years.
that's part of the intent. Like, and one last thing in talking about media is I was listening in on Don Lemon one day this week, and his case.
No, another one who got targeted.
Exactly. And he talked about the DOJ actually going to a judge trying to get a warrant for his subscribers.
I saw that. I saw a post
For
about that.
his subscribers.
I
Now,
saw
what do
that.
you think they would do with that? Luckily, the judge said no, but we know that these people in their vindictiveness, they don't stop with one no. They just keep going. And that's very alarming and dangerous. And people need to wake up. I mean, today it's him. Maybe you don't care about him, but tomorrow it's someone else, and eventually it's you. It's like we've all been saying when we talk about the danger of, authoritarianism. No one is safe, you
No,
know.
yeah, and I saw they were trying to do the same thing with Twitter. They were trying to get people's information from Twitter. There's so much happening. We didn't even talk about the fact that about the whole mail situation that the US the postal service about the mail-in ballots. I mean, please, Lord have mercy, go drop it in a Dropbox. Do not drop it in the mail, please.
Exactly. I talked about that in some space I was in, an audio conversation this week, because I always carry I go in person. First of all, Tennessee is one of those states that has little to no like mail-in voting opportunities. They're really restricted, and I meet the restrict to people with disability or seniors. So I could do it, but I don't do it because I don't trust these people. And now the U.S. mail is in the hand of one of Trump's thug minions, and he can decide when and when not to deliver those ballots. And I don't want to to put that chance. I don't want to put, my ballot in that kind of situation. So I'm voting in person, and I would encourage as many people as possible to do that, in this particular election, and to take people with you and to talk about the importance of this election. Like, it really is about the numbers, and everyone, like, it's not just politics as usual or
Oh.
just another election. It will determine a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's also part of civic education too, right? Like we have to start thinking proactively. We know
Mhm.
if they're telling us now about the fact that they are going to try to limit mail-in voting to whatever I forgot what they said today. It was like certain, like if you have to be on like the government, like in the government system to be able to do mail-in ballots, like be smart about it. Go to early voting. Most states have early voting. There's very few states that don't have early voting at this point. Don't wait till the last minute to vote. We saw what happened in Texas in the primary, waiting till the day of, where people were disenfranchised. They didn't let them, they didn't have the right polling place. They sent them all over the place in Jasmine's race for the Senate. People have to start thinking proactively. How are they going to get their votes and how are they going to vote, and how are they going to make sure their vote is counted? I
Mhm.
I think people need to, I think these state parties that we're giving money to need to start having a strategy to figure out how we're going to do this. Are we going to tell people to show up into early voting? Are we going to tell people to, if they are going to do a mail-in ballot, many states, blue states specifically, have drop boxes. You got to start educating the people on the ways to vote, because a lot of people just really don't understand how this works until the last minute. Even my mom, they just moved to New Jersey, and she was, I was helping her to figure out like where she has to go to early. She's never voted there before. She's only ever voted in New York, and she was used to going to her polling place that's right down the street. So
Mhm.
it's a different situation depending on what state you're in. And I think we definitely need to start doing voter education on that now, not wait until October or no, like the first week of November.
No, we have to start telling people, because people need to also check and just make it a habit of checking to make sure they are on the rolls,
Oh
and
yeah,
that they stay on the rolls, because
exactly.
it's a death by a thousand cuts. They are trying multiple things. Some of it is voter purchase, some of it is restriction of mail-in voting.
Mhm.
Sometimes they restrict the early voting days. They do that here a lot. And LMZ just told me that they just voted to take some of the early voting days away in North Carolina. I mean, this is what they do. And so they are very relentless in trying to stop people from voting because, one of the early kind of architectures of this kind of Republican strategy of control, Paul Ryrick said, they know that they don't win when more people vote. They do
Absolutely
better
not.
the less people vote. So they try to make that happen, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, even in blue states, like we change our like when I got they send us like our sample ballot. They changed our polling places depending on when the election. So 2024 during presidential election, there's more people, so you have a different place to go vote in early voting. Now it's a different place this year. So people will show up. People do not understand. They will show up to the same place that they went. It was a library in 2022. It was a library in 2024. Now it's the fire station. So you gotta kind of be proactive yourself and look through these things. I didn't even know. I just saw it, and when I looked at it, I was like, oh snap! It's not even the same. As my ass would have went to the library too. Like, where's the early
Exactly. I vote at a
early
school.
voting here? Damn.
Yeah, I vote at a school, but I'm going to have to double check because like I said, when they did this Memphis thing, they did some new carving up and stuff. And so I'm going to keep checking. And as you said, hopefully we can, encourage our party, chairs and, members to get busy with some, voter information and education so that people, it's like, building those civic muscles for people to understand the importance of this, as John Lewis said, most powerful nonviolent tool that we have.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
all right.
All right,
Well,
my friend. Well, it was good to speak to you. I'm glad we got to speak after our
me
little
too.
here.
All
So
right. Well,
good.
thank you. Have a good weekend. Thank all of you who tuned in on the various platforms that we're in. And Tiff and I will see you back here in a couple of weeks, and maybe Myram will join us. I'm sending him the link so that he can pop in anytime he wants
Yes,
to.
we by the time next week comes, like next week is the California primary, so we will know who's going to be top two in that race, and then it'll be June already. We'll have almost two primaries completed, the 2nd and the 9th, which I think is DC. That will be. Oh my gosh, everything is going fast. Bye, guys.
Yeah.
You guys
All
for
right. Bye-bye. Thanks. Have
Bye.
a good one. Bye.
Bye.